time to press on with the show proper.
Mm-hmm.
And we start, as always, with our Indie of the Week. And this week, John has suggested an indie. And I went, And then I looked at it and went, ooh. And then Ben seen the name and went, ooh. and then he seen what was in it and went, ah.
Yeah.
So we're going with Badger3D, John.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with Badgers, Ben.
Boo.
What a terrible, terrible shame that must be for you, son.
It's the classic bait and switch this week, Ben.
It is. God damn you.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, it is a thing of beauty. I will preface this with, there's a lot of stuff there. However, the lot of stuff comes from other people. We're not going into that. They may become future 3D printing as the shit, or they may be past ones. I know Papskills is in there, but we're focusing solely on what Badger Set do themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason for that, because it's magnificent. So we'll start with the infantry, John.
Yes.
And you can explain how you found these guys.
Yeah, so I do a lot of random scrolling on Instagram, and Instagram throws ads at you every now and again based on your interest, and of course, tanks. So tanks kept appearing, and I was like, "What? Who are these guys? Like Badger3D? I don't know what this is. Is this another one of those scam ads on Instagram?" And I was like, "No, actually, let's go have a look at it." So a few months ago, I had a little poke at it and was like, "Oh yeah, I see what you're doing. Yeah, I like it." And then today I was like, "Oh, let's talk about it." So these guys do. It's kind of like the Only Games thing of they manufacture and send out the 3D print.
Right.
But the difference here is that the Badger3D team also design their own stuff, so they have their own range on top of the stuff they support as well. Based in the UK as well, which makes shipping for us semi in and out UK people. I don't know what we are anymore. Makes it a bit easier for us. No.
I had issues last night. I'm still not over them.
No. So what drew my attention once I actually looked at them was the fact that they were doing this 1970s stuff. All the British Army vehicles and this infantry here as well, including stuff that we've kind of touched on before with the RUC and that sort of Troubles era kind of thing with the Land Rovers and the RUC officers and stuff like that. Was it Spectre, or was it someone else?
First Corps have done some based on an older miniatures line. They bought them back, and I think Spectre have done some Cold War-y stuff. But but
what really made me want to talk about them this week was that they don't just offer wargaming; they offer larger scale. So they'll do your standard scales like 135th, 148th, but they also understand that there's wargamers are going to be looking for this stuff, so they do it in the wargaming scales as well, which is great because it allows them to get a detail of miniature, like design a model with so much detail that is going to work for the scale miniature as well as the wargamer.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Because you can see here, like the texture on that guy's flak jacket and everything, like is superb, and at the larger scales they offer it in is going to paint up an absolute treat as a display piece.
See the seam line on the inside of his trousers there as well.
Yeah,
the stitching.
Yeah, and taking that to like wargaming scale and stuff like that, or smaller scale, is going to just give you something really nice to work on. Now their infantry isn't so much aimed to the wargaming stuff because they only do a few select little figures here and there.
People to stand alongside a vehicle.
That's it. The vehicle range that they do is definitely aimed at people that like scale models and wargaming. So
right,
everybody's favorite. I really want these bigulated. Can I make them bigulated? I think it will only let me scrolling.
Okay. Well, we'll have to steal that.
Oh, I'm going to be a sad panda. Maybe a sad pangolin.
See what you did there.
So these are, I mean,
I've seen blue lights. I know these vehicles.
For anybody who didn't grow up watching the footage of the Troubles or grew up in the Troubles, the RUC Land Rovers is ubiquitous to our streets. I mean, you didn't really see many police cars around. If you ever seen the RUC out and about, they were generally in one of these in some lovely slate grey, or these days they do a nice ice cream van version. They do. It's white with like blue and yellow squares on it. I just want to stop them and get a Mr. Whippy.
No, that's what they do to you if you annoy them. They Mr. Whippy. No.
But they, but yeah, they're, I mean, the amount of times you would see that with that sort of dark slate grey and then the big confidential telephone number stenciled up the side of it.
Yeah. Oddly, I think I've mentioned it before, but I do have one of those stencils lying in my shed.
Nice.
The actual confidential one.
Yeah.
Wow.
0800 666 999.
Of reasons I can't explain, but we do have one.
He was pulling a job, Italian job style.
Yeah.
You're going to do a blag.
Do you remember the Northern Bank incident?
I do. Yeah. There's a Snatch Land Rover. Yeah, because we had a few different types. They started off with the Hotspur, and then they went Simba and then Pangolin. So this is actually our 3 generations. Bam.
So the Hotspur was the Simba was the first.
Hotspur was the first because it was a civilian chassis that they just bolted as much armor onto as they could. Yeah. And then the Simba. What was the Simba first? The Tangia came in. It was bespoke, where they were actually building a proper chassis for it. Yep. And then the Pangolin is the more modern one.
Yeah,
I'm not sure where the Simba comes in, actually.
I know the Pangolin more often. I know that one. I know the Simba quite well because I've seen a lot of those floating around back in the day. It's always the 2-stage blue light on the front. Yeah. The big one and the small one. Like, it just looks. It's just a bird cage.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid in primary school and that getting to see these things because they'd always do the kind of like Hearts and Minds thing. They'd bring them around to schools and let you have a look in them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can remember the smell.
Ooh.
It's such a weird, unusual smell in those things.
What the extra caging and the like on it?
We'll probably see it later on, but they do have a gallery of people that have bought their stuff, painted it and posted it, as well as they have commission painters that help with their stuff as well. And there's a nice gallery of some of these painted up.
Oh, we'll definitely have a shift into that very shortly. Yeah.
But I thought, it's because I love armored vehicles and these armored Land Rovers are part of my childhood. It's nice to see models out there of them. You don't get to see it that often.
Yeah. It's not, I was going to say, it's not a range or a period, I guess, that you necessarily see done in much detail in sort of, well, at least in wargaming scale anyway.
No.
Obviously, there are reasons behind that, of course, but...
we've touched on it before with the difficulty in
portraying it and stuff.
Something like Spectre would probably work, where it's more narrative and umpire
driven. The Games
than
Master version of that, I think, is a lot better, rather than it just being an out and out versus style experience. I think that allows you to kind of engage in that almost education side of what the war game is, rather than it just being a sort of like who's the better killer kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean,
it's funny. There's a scale model group I'm part of, and there's a chap in Dublin was talking about this exact sort of thing, the RUC and Army from the 70s and 80s in Northern Ireland, as an opportunity for scale modelers that's overlooked.
Yeah,
because and it's one of those. It's such a distinctly iconic period, certainly for us. Maybe not so much the outside world, but you look at Vietnam or whatever in the 1970s, and the iconic photographs that have been taken, and people like Full Metal Miniatures, who have made models based on actual photographs taken from the time period. And there's that level of cataloging for the Troubles is available via a whole host of photographers and publications from our local news and all sorts, which means that you could do a really accurate scale model representation of specific things, but it sort of gets passed by.
Like there's certain features on the British Army vehicles in particular that were only Northern Ireland specific. Like there was always the mesh over the headlights, extra armor on the windows and stuff like that. The Flying Pig, the one with the big fold out riot barriers and all, like it's very unique to Northern Ireland. Yeah, they have a pig in here as well. There's the Saxon.
There's the Saxon. Wow. And this was, I mean, going back to the Land Rovers, it went a lot of civilian disruption. So they went, we need some armor. And they started off by just putting mesh and boards over a civilian model Land Rover. Mm-hmm. And then they started getting shot at. And at that point, they went, well, we need the armor, which is then when the Hotspur came in. And then after that, we need something more bespoke because they started using IEDs and the like. And also petrol bombs became more prevalent. So I think the late model Tangias came with a fire suppression unit in it. Where you just slam a big button on the dashboard. It would cut the engine, cut the aircon, and then immediately discharge fire extinguishers through the engine bay and across the window.
Yep.
God.
Some of which are now, they sold off a chunk of the RUC stuff to other British, other British police forces. So there's a ton of them in Wales and stuff now after the Bradford riots in the 80s, 90s.
Wow.
The Met went, we need some of those.
I think,
sure.
Coming at it from the perspective of how because this really was the modern British Army's first real civil unrest kind of thing.
Civil unrest and civilian insurgency,
and seeing how they learned from it and adapted to it and stuff like that, and then the joke of it being they completely forgot about it when they went into Iraq and Afghanistan, and they had to relearn all this stuff again. The weapons were more or less the same, but they had to relearn all the tactics that they had in the 70s and the 80s.
Oh, is that model interior, John?
Yes. It's fun because like a lot of the classic military vehicle group in Northern Ireland, there's generally always a Saracen, there's generally always a pig floating around somewhere, and they are all done up to full Northern Ireland spec. And you don't get the Land Rovers because after they were done, I think particularly after they were done with the Simbas and stuff like that, they all went to a scrapyard in Scotland. There's a big graveyard of them in Scotland. I visited that. They weren't allowed to sell it back to us. Funnily enough.
No.
Because they're a little too similar to the modern ones.
Right. So. Yeah. Strange that. I'm shocked that they would stop you having fun.
Yeah.
They're so mean. I'm gonna have a look at some of the non-Northern Ireland stuff.
Yeah. The Challenger 2 TES looks. It's one that I actually am very tempted to go and get when I have some money around for it.
Is this more modern, as in like our period right now time, or is this still sort of like sort of 80s, 90s, or
the Challenger 2, as that picture is with the TES set all on it? That's how they were in Iraq and Afghanistan, Iraq mostly, with all the bar armors. That's like late, like 2015, 2016 kind of spec for the Challenger 2. That's the version of the tank that pushes it to nearly 80 friggin' tons.
Wow.
It's a heavy old brute of a thing.
It's as fat as my ass.
So this is the kind of stuff you'd want if you were playing something like Spectre and you wanted to have like an iconic sort of scenario-based objective with a tank involved or something like that. You can go and pick up something like this. Yeah. Very nice.
But with the amount of skills available to you, like you can even see like some of the skills are just brilliant. There's plenty of scope to make or adapt certain things to fit with certain game systems. A lot of this stuff is, apart from Challenger 2, a lot of this stuff would be fairly compatible with Team Yankee.
Okay.
So you could get it in the 1/100 scale and use it in Team Yankee if you felt like it. A lot of it is catered for in Team Yankee. But I mean, the more individual, unique stuff.
Yeah, even sci-fi players. For a long time, I thought about running my Morian Iron Guard as RUC, and even painted a couple of squads of them.
Yep.
As with little tashes for the sergeants, so you could tell which one was the sergeant.
Oh no!
Which I must go back to because I've still got like 60 of the old lead Morians. But drop out chimeras and the like, and throw them all some pangolins, and fire them up, put the confidential comm link up the side and away you go. Just to have a more unique, bespoke.
Be very much a planetary defense force.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I was also thinking
PDF.
These would be pretty good if you were looking at if you wanted to do something post-apocalyptic as well. So if you wanted to throw in kind of like forces trying to combat zombie attacks and things, heavily armored Land Rover is probably a good idea. And some of these vehicles, some of the other sort of slightly more powerful vehicles as well would be really good. Slot them in alongside kind of near future soldiers or just, current day soldiers and away you go. I think
modern
cool.
spec op stuff and away you go.
Yeah.
You can have a bit more fun with the kit bashing stuff on them if you wanted to at that point. Then
Beautiful.
just sort of stuff additional bits and pieces on them.
Look at the Saxon.
But
what else? We don't want to spend all day here.
But that's what John wanted.
Should I? Oh, there's a Saracen.
Yeah, I would
have to open the Saracen.
Yeah, I would
there's
love
the
to
tanky
get
with CCTV.
Yeah, the riot control one.
Yep.
I'm here to gather evidence.
we will watch the crowd.
Well, that's just begging to be knocked off the top.
Oh yeah. Good luck, Skipper.
It's you see
if
it.
You get close enough to do that, you're getting snatched.
Yeah. It's the one that sits behind 2 rows of other Land Rovers.
Right, yeah.
Telescoping away.
That's one of those CCTV cameras that Gerry will understand, the ones that were always on the top of the towers above RUC stations.
Yep.
So this is one of those, like, I have a mega macro zoom lens on this thing. I can see your face from a mile away.
In some cases, you don't need to, because very occasionally somebody
People
like
just
Gerry
run up
Kelly
to them.
will come, run up and throw themselves on the bonnet.
Yeah.
Don't worry. All of a sudden, I see far more of you than I wanted to.
Our politicians are an interesting sort, aren't they, Gerry? He tried to run me over. You got in the way. You got in the way.
If you don't barrel along the road and jump up there. Oh no, it's trapped. But I have a steel cage.
Oh, I like that it comes in its own little... It prints in its own little box. That's kind of cute.
I suppose that's for transportation.
I don't know how these arrive. That's the thing.
I don't know.
Badger, send us. I'll give you a list.
Find out. We should have a look at the gallery because there are multiple pages of this. He said going on to another page.
I think it's just the Clan Badger models thing at the top, isn't it? I think, or is it the
Badger Clan and the commission painters because they show the mission commissions.
Yeah,
they do a bit of World War II stuff as well, which is nice. Again,
always good to see.
Focusing on that sort of some of the more unique and unusual things that you don't really necessarily get kits of sometimes.
Oh, the
crab in mid-flail,
yeah. These are sweet.
I like to think of that as the Bart and Lisa Simpson flailing their arms at each other tank. If you get in the way.
Oh, the wee Humber's nice.
Yeah.
Get some of that.
Really nice.
That flail. I mean, as a display piece, yes, 100%. But we all know that's not getting across a gaming table intact.
No.
Somebody will at some point push that, and the bottom row of flails will all go.
Do not let Warren touch that. Yes. Very nice.
Gun to the rear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. I will focus. Right, so commission painters first or clan?
Well, we'll do commission painters first because they name them and
name and shame them.
Yes. Name them and shame them.
Oh, look.
Look.
Sweet like candy.
It's even got the riot paint on it.
You're not letting me do that. But these ambiguous. Oh, sweet zombie Jesus. That takes me back. Oh, this is more modern. Look at them with their 555-111.
Yeah.
You've got a bit of pink on you. Yeah.
We could tell the riot that they were sent to suppress by the colour of paint on the front of the Land Rover.
Yeah. That was most likely a football riot, that. Because when it wasn't a football riot, the petrol bombs came out.
There we go. There's the 666-999.
That's the more classic look of it, isn't it?
That's Gerry's youth right there. That's what that is.
I remember the smell of that paint. We had tins of it at home. We had actual tins of that. That's fire retardant paint as well, which is
okay. Right.
Absolute disgusting smell off of it. I think that probably explains a lot of my issues later in life.
I love how he's even added the
Macrolon.
Macrolon drilled on the side.
Yep.
Sweet. That is sweet.
There's the flying pig.
There's the pig.
See what I mean? That has like the two big anti-riot shields fold out either side.
That's not a lot of bricks.
What they did, Ben, was that they would run a row of these up, and they'd all open one side of their shields and interlock the vehicles together.
Oh.
So that the British Army had carte blanche with their riot guns to fire out the rubber bullets at people.
Yeah. God.
Which is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Oh, these are beautiful. Hey! It's off.
Oh, the wheelbarrow. The Felix unit. Felix unit, please. Ben, is the bomb disposal unit in Northern Ireland.
What operating system is it running on?
Linux. We're all going to die.
It's funny because I haven't seen the bomb squad around in a little while. And by a little while, I mean I seen one a few months ago passing through Antrim, so they're still
they're still here.
But the modern they have these absolute beasts of vehicles now. I'm not sure what the actual vehicle is.
It's a big American thing, I think.
But the bomb squad's logo is like a beagle type dog with a beret on. It's just the cutest logo you'll ever see. As the bomb squad come ripping past you. Going, yay.
It used to be a cat though, didn't it? Felix.
Yeah. I don't know why, or don't know when they changed, but the recent ones I've seen have all been this brown, beagly looking. I was looking straight down the barrel, like you said, 2 ears, nose forward, and then little beret on. It's
man's best friend. There we go.
Yeah. I'm assuming that that's kicking around in here as well. Then
maybe I don't know. Possibly.
Really nice. Shows off the kind of thing you can do. Diorama based stuff and all sorts of different things from different people.
Ken Parson, Lee Powell. Going up.
Striker. CVRT Striker. With a big missile box in the back.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, he's on exercise. He's up for. You can tell he's a bad guy with the red tape.
These are lovely.
Samson. I have to try and remember my CVRT names.
It's nice that they've taken the time to engage with the community of painters that have worked on these and then showcase their stuff. Because obviously these people sell physical miniatures, but a lot of the stuff you're seeing there is the renders. And so it's nice to actually have a look at what the final product is for this. Yep. So that if you are interested in what we've been looking at, you can be like, oh, that's how it's going to come out and stuff. So, yeah. And all the details there, it's superb. Wonderful.
So I would love to get my hands on one of the kits just to have a good look at it. See how much prep work it needs after it's come out.
I suppose. Yeah. Would you get one of the larger ones, or would you go for something sort of wargaming scale? Or
I'd probably get a larger one just for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I would buy a wargaming scaled one just to show off,
just to get a look. Yeah.
I'm just going to throw this out here, folks. I didn't see a huge amount of blue and red paint being chucked around at the place. It was much cheaper just to use the standard old, white emulsion. You've seen a lot of that. It's a cost-saving exercise. But obviously it contrasts better.
Yeah.
On the blue.
God, I've had a ride in a few pegs around the time, and I've helped Dad work on a couple that were privately owned, and they are just the worst.
Yeah.
They are absolutely awful.
Pig to use.
Pig by name, pig by nature, the drivers called them. The problem is, right, if you want to get these things were going like in civilian unrest with IEDs and stuff like that. None of the internal space, like the armor protection, is bolted to anything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So if something goes off underneath that, everything inside the vehicle now suddenly decides it's moving. And there's 1/4-inch armor plate in the footwell of the driver, in the driver's position. And if something went off under the engine, that whole sheet is just going to do that.
Oh, wow.
And just travel through the driver and into whoever's in the back.
Yeah.
There. And the other problem is it's a civilian 1.5-ton truck, the Humber truck, the 1.5 tons. They then slap 3 tons of armor onto it, which makes it near impossible to drive at any kind of speed.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a corner too fast, that thing's on its side. Like it's.
Well, that was one of the reasons they liked the upgrade from the Hotspur to the Tangier. It was
purpose built.
It was purpose built, power steering, air conditioning, that sort of thing, as opposed to the Hotspur where it was just a ton of metal bolted wherever they could onto the side of a thing, which made it a sluggish, slow, terrible turning circle piece of crap.
And they had, because I remember some of my...
You've got the wrong phone number, mate.
No, that might be the right number for the later type, just before they changed the color to white. I think that could be right. I can't remember. I do know I've talked to a few police officers that drove those, and he said that they're fantastic because you've got a big turbocharged V8 engine under the bonnet. It can do 90 miles an hour, and we were like, well, how are you stopping at 90 miles an hour? He says, don't worry, they have racing spec ceramic disc brakes on them. We're like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, what we have to do is if we think we're going to crash is we push the foot on the brakes and close our eyes. Because what'll happen at 80 miles an hour is the first 20 meters, it'll burn the brakes out and then you crash.
This is Snatch Land Rover.
Do you remember the whole controversy of them selling those to the public?
Yes.
And then they became drug running vehicles. And the police in England were like, we can't stop these things because they're armored. They're armored and have run flat tires. We can't stop them.
And that's why you can't have one for reenactment.
That's why you can't have nice things anymore.
Yeah.
That is a smashing. I mean, the modern through to World War II, and then obviously the sprinkling of Nairn in there as well. It's a really nice range that they've put together.
It's great stuff.
Yeah. They also prove. I know I mentioned it before we started filming, but they have a Rat, the super, super heavy German Panzer from the end of World War II.
Yes. I should try and find that.
It's on the last page. or it's there.
900. What scale is that? That's 1/100. So that's more or less the same price that I was going to pay for a Rat in lead from somebody in Spain a long time ago.
Yep.
And then I looked at myself and I went, why would I? So those turrets at the back, Ben, those would have been the mouse.
Yeah, let me go get the mouse.
Okay.
Let me go grab a mouse.
You've got one,
yeah, there's one in here. Hang on.
So remember how they built like 2 of these for testing, but they never really saw action, and they were the most ridiculous tank ever. So that's a mouse bigger than a King Tiger by a considerable way. And then there's 2 of its turrets as rear gun positions.
Crikey.
In what many people call the world's most ridiculous thing ever.
So it is quite literally a land fortress.
Yeah, that was a land battleship.
Yeah.
Those guns were something outrageous that would have been seen, from space.
So those turrets on the back of that tank then?
Yeah.
This is 1/100 scale as well.
Yeah, that's a Flames of War mouse.
Crikey.
So that's the mouse.
Thankfully, physics called and
said you can't do that.
You can't do this. We can build it, certainly, and the minute that we take it off whenever it's on, it will just sink. So until such times that you can... I mean, the best they could hope for is when the tracks spin, that the world moved under it.
Yeah.
And it just stayed in place.
Yeah.
Nothing else was going to happen there.
Dear.
Oh, the Rat is cool, though. I'm still not buying one, John. I've resisted Forged in Battles Rat for going on 15 years now.
What size is that at 1/100 though? Is that like 1.5 foot long or something?
Well, you've got the mouse there. So if I bring this up again, and then I would like to see that, please.
The issue is, if you buy this, you'll have to build a table to suit it, just like you did with the submarine pen. So,
it would just be a blank grass table.
Well, yeah, and then this,
and I mean, it looks like 3 road wheels on the Rat is the length of the mouse. I think that might actually be an E100, but
they're so proud of this one. It comes with a numbered certificate if you buy it.
Yeah. Yep. So what we got? 3, 6, 9, 12. So 4 mouse lengths plus additional for the running wheels and the return at the back.
So it's
say 4 mice long.
That's about 18 inches, I think. About 18 inches.
Might have more dimensions in the description, maybe. I don't know. But
there you go.
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Length 48.
48 centimeters long.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. About the width of my screen.
I'm just going to hide that now.
The best thing is we could get it in 1/72nd scale as well. We could get it for Lloyd's HO scale trains.
Oh yeah.
That could be his mountain.
Oh, that is the 1/72nd scale.
Oh, is it?
One is 48, so you're going to be slightly smaller, so probably about a foot long.
Yeah.
Or
crikey.
a bit smaller.
Only 12 inches long on 1/100 scale. Like.
Fancy.
Amazing. Yeah.
Badger3D then.
I would absolutely love to get a couple of their kits and have a play. Definitely.
Yeah. Do donuts around the place. Set up a wee board. Go. Who was doing the... we looked at somebody doing red brick terrace houses a few weeks ago on an indie. I'm just thinking about setting up streets, have a shore road, go up the limestone. Oh man, I could recreate the drum cree standoff.
Please
the Omo Road. I was living on the Omo Road at the time. Oh, no. It was a nightmare. Yeah. Anyway, we shall move away from this. I think it's time for some news.